Okay, back with another live stream, and I kind of took a little time to get started because let me check it again. Okay, let's see. Okay, back with another live stream, and okay, let's see. I think it was because I'm going to close the browser. It was working. Okay, I think it was because I paused it. It was in pause. It seemed like yeah, I had to hit play, I think. Anyway, I ended up reloading the page and everything while the music was playing, trying to make sure it was working before I started. Anyway, I think when I paused it the previous time, it stayed in pause. I closed the browser and opened it back up. I wouldn't expect that. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe I tricked myself. Anyway, I've got my USB camera working again. I just went ahead. Well, I kind of redid my string relief on my USB cable going into the camera. Hopefully I won't bump it when I go to re-aim the camera. And I'm working on the HP DL380 G7 HP ProLiant server. And what I'm working on with it now, this time, is I am going to put it in that closet on top of that. Can't aim that way. On top of that, there we go. On top of that filing cabinet. Got me a little towel on there so I won't scratch up the cabinet. I repainted it when I got it at like a thrift store for like $13 years ago. 22 years ago or something? 20 years? I don't know. And repainted it. That was one of those army drab army green. How do you say that? Green. It was it had been a military. Had something on it. I think about an Air Force base or something, or maybe an Army base. But anyway, it's one of those tags. Anyway, I found out that kind of paint is not just regular paint. It's really hard to get Rust-Oleum to stick to it, but I did finally get it to. But you can scratch it off with dang near with your fingernails. So I'm going to spin it in the closet. Now I put wheels on it. I can roll it. I doubt I would try rolling it once I put this server on it, though. It's hard to roll. It's full of papers, and it's real heavy. It's already kind of heavy anyway. But when I put the server on it, I'm sure I would jerk it and it slide off of there. That thing weighs about 60 pounds. I think it's 60 pounds exactly what it weighs. So once I get it up there, I want to leave it. So I need a sound card in it. I've got the video card, 8 gigabyte video card. Got old sound cards, and I didn't. And I have a couple of USB sound cards, but I know they don't work. They tend to make noise, like when I use them once in a while. They seemed okay in laptops, but not great sound. And they're only mono input. And your standard audio and sound cards or your built-in sound cards are usually stereo input these days. And so, and my mic SM58 coming through my mixer and my Behringer V amp, that's stereo. So I would like it to go ahead and be coming in stereo. OBS, it would take a mono signal and put it on both sides, but I'm sure the sound is going to be. This is really mono going through the SM58 to the mixer. The mixer it sends the same mono signal to each side and quasi stereo. But then the effects in here probably make it sound a little better, I would think. More like, all I'm really using is noise gate, compressor, and I'm using a reverb, but it's actually to it's one that's set up to, it's a preset in this Pt2. This is a guitar amplifier for recording is what it's really for. But it also will, it does have just a few basic settings for doing audio, mics, voice. So that's what I'm using it for. I have a guitar, but I play with it. I don't play guitar. And that is intro and exit guitar. I did that years ago, way back when I first got this in about 2002 or 3 or something. But I never really pick up the guitar anymore. I can't. I never got real good. My hands just don't work good for that sort of thing. Surprisingly, I was used to. Well, they don't work good much anymore at all. But when I was young, I am real mechanical minded. But I could just do things. I could put bolts and motors from my hand like that. Don't have to see where it goes. I could just feel where it goes and all that stuff. And I was a cabinet maker. I was real good with hand tools and stuff. But anyway, tool maker. Had to say one more. That was something else I was proud of. Okay, so I've got power run over there. You can barely, I stuck it up in it's kind of right where my thumb went. That's my power strip going from another power strip. And that's actually how I basically had it wired before. That same power strip, the server. Well, that's power strip. It has about a 6 or 8 foot. I think it's about an 8-foot cable on it. It came that way, you know. And anyway, it was over here. I had forgotten where I'd put it, and I finally realized, oh, it's right here. It's got stuff. My audio amp plugged into it. And so I got enough room on the other. I had 2 power strips down there, so I got enough room to just put it all on that one. So anyway, the power that was plugged into in my rack actually comes from that power strip over there on that wall. And so because of the link, I was going to just plug it into the wall, but wouldn't have reached into the closet then. So I plugged it into the end of the power strip. Just makes it just exactly how far it needs to be for those cables that I have there. They're long enough to reach down there where it's set. When I put the server up on top of the, well, I see people doing that all the time. It's hard to do, especially when it's behind you. But anyway, up on top of that, I'll have enough room, plenty of room for the server. I'll even be able to get the lid off of it. But you know, like the thing that I'm going to put a sound card. I'm going to find I've got one of my sound cards. I'm going to put in it before I put it in there because it'd be really hard to get to the back and you know, plug something into it with that shelf above it. You can just see that shelf there in that view, and it's just stacked to the ceiling with stuff been that way for years. But so the first thing I'm going to do before I go and actually put it in there is figure out what sound card I want to use. I haven't done any digging. I've got quite a few in my little toolbox under my under here, this little red toolbox down here. I call that my computer toolbox. It's got, you know, some nice clean tools that I use for computer stuff and everything. And there's a machine right over here in the rack. You'll be able to kind of see it when I get up. It's got a card that is it's very old now, but it worked, you know, worked great back then. And this server, it's a video rendering card, input card, and it has sound too, you know. And I remember, I'll just get it out and see if I think it'll work. But it has a composite input and an RF input, and it also has an audio 3.5 millimeter. I can't remember if it's an input. Yeah, you used to have to plug it into your sound card. Can't remember if it's an input, which would be great for me. I can plug my audio input from my thing into it. Oh, but if it doesn't have an output, then it won't be useful. Pretty sure it has only one. I don't remember. And if it's an output, then that would send sound out of the computer, but I still won't have an input. And the thing that I don't like about my USB ones I have over here is my USB ones that I have sitting on the desk is they're mono and they're noisy. They're not good. I think they were. Did it okay? You know what? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I plugged them into a laptop. That's what I actually bought them for, because I blew out the sound card on this Dell 6000 laptop. I was playing music one day and it quit, and then and just without thinking, I unplugged it, plugged it back in, because you've always, ever since I was a little kid, you could do that to any audio stuff, but not those Dell laptops that were made back in the early 2000s and late 90s. I had a friend that had one, and I started, his sound went away. I mixed sound, he mixed sound, and that particular day he was mixing, and he owned a sound system he let me use too, but we were using a different one for a bigger show that time. But I started to do what you always do, unplug the you know, it's a line level signal. It's not going to pop in the speakers, not much at all if it did or anything. And he said, no, don't do that. He said, I already did that and blew up my audio chip, you know. And so that's how they'll protect the rest of the computer. They said they used an audio chip that would blow out if it got the slightest little static shock to it. So what happens is when you're unplugging, you know, a little barrel connector, you know, one's female, one's male, and there's TRS, tip ring sleeve in those, and when while they're coming out, they will short just for a second. You know, they can, usually they do. You'd have to see it to make sense, but anyway, that's where you get that little pop. And they don't always do. Maybe if you hold it perfectly straight, it wouldn't, but if it, anyway. I'd rather have a stereo input, and I know I at least have one sound blaster down there, pretty old one, but, and I think I've used it and it worked, but, and I have some more computers out in the garage that might have something better, but I didn't even think to go really digging around with them, and I'm not going to do that. I don't think I'll do that tonight. I probably won't need to. Anyway, if I can get something that I can put in there and leave it until, actually what I would like to do, I did a bunch of shopping. See, my video card also does sound over HDMI. My cable, my 30-foot HDMI cable carries sound. It's not the newer ones that do the Ethernet, but it does do audio and video. But my monitor, it doesn't have an HDMI. It just has a DVI-D, and with an adapter, it works fine for the video, but of course you have no audio. I would have to buy, I looked at KVM switches that have audio capabilities. If you get there's some of them that will change it to have an analog audio output, and I could just run over to my amplifiers from there. But then I'm looking at spending, it looks like the ones that are really have good reviews are $85 and up, you know. I don't really want to do that. I mean, if I want to spend that much money, I might spend enough to buy another monitor that has HDMI and then and an earphone output or something, a line level output, and send it out of the monitor into my sound system. That, you know, that's what I'm using, is like some of them are RCA and some of them are 3.5 millimeter, and then they always have to be converted because I'm going between a patch bay up there on the rack, and like the outputs of the amps. Anyway, I'm going nuts on explaining it. What do I do first? Okay, let's get on camera 2. That's all I'm going to really need to think. Unless I don't have a 2 and 4 set up anyway. Okay, so let's first let's switch to the other mic. Okay, now we're on the wireless, so I can get up and run around. Let's check our video's making. I'm going to close that. Still on the desktop, and since I'm switching mics, I am going to go ahead and take the time to check my stream again. Can't use the laptop anymore. I actually figured out Firefox new version here, Firefox 80.0.1. They set, I saw a notice whenever I installed it, or when it auto installed. It said they're going to use hardware rendering by default, and I thought, man, I hope I don't have trouble with that, because I only have 256 gigabyte of onboard memory in this Lenovo i5 is what I'm using to stream with and everything. Trouble with that, because I only have 256 gigabyte of. Okay, that all sounds really good. Okay, so and sure enough, what it did after a day or two, very next day or the day after that, I was watching YouTube videos and for several hours, and it locked up my every 2 to 3 hour. Actually, it would take an hour for it to really get bad, and about 2 hours it would lock up my computer. I'd look over here in my system monitor. I always keep it open. See, now, whenever you get on a camera or something, OBS starts going on up to the system. You say, that's why I have to watch what. But the memory was what was. It had 2 processes in Firefox, the main thread and another one. And they were both, I've got 4 gig of memory, and they were both like 1.5 plus gig of memory. And the machine would just lock up. I'd have to kill everything with the kill command in here. I'm not going to click on anything, accidentally do it. And then I think I rebooted twice that day. Finally, I thought the next day I got on there and it was doing it again. So I figured I got over and did some search and figured out how to turn it off, and it went back to normal. So I haven't tried that. I bet you I need to do it on the laptop, and then maybe it would play my stream preview again. But it stopped giving. Well, the last time I tried to use it a few weeks ago, it would do it, but barely. It would make it work so hard. It would overheat and get some noise. I couldn't stand it, and I knew it was really hard on it. You know, it was getting like that. And but the last time I tried to use it was after the updates, and to look at my preview, my stream, and it went nuts instantly. And I rebooted it, didn't help, and then it kept still. I just thought it was hot, and I just let it. I just didn't have Firefox or anything running, and then I rebooted it again, and then it I saw a message on the screen saying cannot start hardware or something, something, you know, I don't remember what it said now. And I thought, that's really what gave me the real clue that okay, I need to look into that, you know. And I haven't done it on the laptop, I forgot. I kept thinking I'd do it before I did another stream, but I didn't. Okay, so here we go. Now, I'm on the, so I'm gonna get my, I don't have to move too much. Oh, first I want to double check, I'd say. I'm pretty sure I've already even tried this. Yeah, these are my Ethernet cables I'm going to use. Yeah, I can tell with that wrapped up that it's going to make it. I was thinking, well, am I going to be able to make it? Let's just do it anyway. That one, for some reason, acting like it's longer. Well, it could be, one could be plugged into a router, and they're all right over there, though. One could be plugged in the router, and one could be plugged into a switch, but I want to make sure they're going to reach all the way in the back of the closet. Whoops. Yeah, this one is going to make it. And once they're all on the floor, I'm going to have to do something. I may buy me a cable. Uh-oh. This one may not have as much. It may have more slack behind the... I didn't keep forgetting what camera to use. Got up doing that. So I was coming over here. It will just reach, but I think I'm going to end up having to find more slack. I could go, the routers are over there. I could go that way, but then they'd go across the entry door to the room. But I'm going to have to do something because I'll strip over them. I guess I can leave them unraveled. No, I'll trip over them. I'm going to roll them back up until I get ready to actually hook them up. Besides, this one's probably going to have to be, find out all the slack I can get for it. That other one's got more. So, guess I can leave it as is for now. But they're the same length, bottom up at the same time, so that's why I figure there's got to be some more slack somewhere that I can get. But so get over here. Yeah, I think I'll leave that view like that, so whatever I decide to do with things, I won't be completely out of the picture. So this is my 30-foot, oops, I don't want it there, 30-foot HDMI cable. And I've got so many cables. Oh, gosh. I've got to be seriously careful here. This is looking like a bad idea now. That's the cable going into the computer that I'm streaming from. Let's see if I've already messed up that camera. If I messed it up again, I'd be so upset. I almost kind of jerked on it without really thinking. You know, just like, get that stuff out of my way. And then I remembered, I don't want to mess up the endoscope either. It wouldn't actually, I probably won't need it, but I didn't think I was going to